Hi, everyone. Welcome to the OWise Real Life Stories. Today, I am really excited to be chatting to my friend, Phil, also fellow model on the catwalk. This time last year, we were on the catwalk for Breast Cancer Now, strutting our stuff. And yeah, Phil is a really important voice in the community, and I am so happy to be talking to you today. So, as I always
Hi,
do, hello with
hi,
these
Carly.
chats.
Oh no, do you know what? I mean, first of all, it's I can sometimes get quite overwhelmed at how welcoming and supportive the community is towards me. So yeah, it's it's nice to get a nice intro. I don't know why I should be thinking any different, but
You're
it's
incredible, Phil. The,
it's a
the
nice.
community not only loves you, we need you, and you are so important. You're spreading such important awareness, especially with men that can get breast cancer. So that is, that's so
Yeah.
powerful and it's so important. And I think that's why I'm so excited to be chatting to you today. Um, and you're hilarious and your memes are needed. And, you bring light to some very hard times.
No, I've maybe it's obviously the male angle, but I definitely noticed that my perspective is a little bit different than everyone else. Maybe a little bit more. Um, I don't want to say honest because I think there's a lot of honesty on the in with the online community, but maybe twisted. I don't know.
Twisted. No, it's funny. It's good.
But shall I give it? Do you want my little intro or
Yeah,
so
I would
people
love
know who
that.
I
I would
am?
love you to tell us anything really. Tell us about your diagnosis, anything. Yeah, anything about
Yeah.
that. How breast cancer came into your life.
So, obviously, first of all, I am a primary breast cancer survivor. Um, I was diagnosed in 2016, and I did the thing that, I mean, if anything, if there's one message, I suppose, when it comes to men, is to kind of do the thing that I did, which was I found the lump and went to the doctor the next day. And obviously, there's an image of men ignoring things and letting things go on and not dealing with them and stuff like that. So I found the lump, and I must admit, even that's the only memory I have of finding the lump was I need to go to the doctor straight away. I didn't, because everyone says, "Oh, did you think it was cancer?" And it was weird, and maybe I blocked it out of my mind, but I didn't worry. I didn't. I was just like, the only thing I have to do is get to the doctor.
Is there any breast cancer in your family?
No, no. So, um, no, nothing. And I got genetically tested. Obviously, when it was confirmed that it was positive, I got tested, and I don't carry the gene. Um, I did that primarily because it would have been a 50-50 chance of affecting my daughter. So that was the reason why I got the testing, or I accepted the testing, because obviously they offer it to a lot of people, not to everybody. I think it was offered to me now because when I was diagnosed, I was 44. So I think because of my age, if I was an older male, I don't think it would have been maybe offered. Um, so yeah, I don't carry the gene. It was one of those things. I do wonder whether lifestyle may have contributed towards it a little bit. Um, but I can't grumble because what I've done now, and the things where our paths have overlapped, have always been amazing experiences of doing new things, and now I've kind of embraced this opportunity to basically just do whatever I want, and
Yeah,
you
yes.
know,
But that's an amazing gift to come from
and raise
something
awareness.
very
And raise
difficult.
awareness, of course. I mean, obviously, I can go and do anything I want, but I do it on the shoulders of raising awareness for people that aren't here anymore, and for
Yeah.
people that haven't been diagnosed yet. that's the thing.
Phil, did you know when you found your lump that men could get breast cancer?
Yeah, that's the question. Did I? So it was 7 years ago now, so well, nearly 8 years ago. So it's kind of like a bit of a. I think I went into a coping strategy of just being focused on trying to stay healthy, and that affected my memory of what was going on at that time. However, I'm pretty certain I'd known of there was a chat show host in America called Montel Williams.
Yeah, I
I'm
remember
pretty
him.
certain, yeah. So he was popular in like the '90s, I think,
Yeah,
and I'm pretty certain that I knew already that he'd had it, but it didn't even enter my realm of thought when I was going through it. It didn't. I don't think I thought it was cancer. I don't think it. Obviously, I didn't think it was breast cancer. I was just thinking it's a lump. It's not supposed to be there. Need to get it checked out.
yeah,
Simple as that. And even right up until the moment they said we think it's cancer, it just maybe I was in denial. But I was having a mammogram, I was having an ultrasound, I was having a biopsy, and I was like, yeah, it's probably just a cyst. That's covered
yeah.
in blood.
It's protective
Covered in
mechanism,
blood.
isn't it?
And then they were like, yeah, we think it's cancer. And then you go, then obviously
Yeah,
it hits you. And it's a powerful memory of how like just one moment can change your life.
yeah,
Um, yeah. I think the main takeaway is that you go into a kind of coping mode.
yeah.
So you're not
It's
panicking,
a line, isn't it? You can never go back. You hear those words, and it's like your world just shifts in that moment.
yeah. I stayed really, really calm and kept it together. And of course I had all the usual um, comments from people and odd things. Oh yeah, so and so died from that, and I was like, oh nice. All the ridiculous
Yeah,
kind of things. But I'd been meditating, and I was kind of like trying to work on a bit of mindfulness before all this happened, and I think that kind of helped me stay stay grounded. Plus, I think in my mind, I just didn't think. I know a lot of people think I'm going to die. I didn't think that. Luckily, I didn't. I'm here.
no, you're here, and that's amazing. And did at the time that it was caught, what was kind of the words that your doctors were saying to you? Were they very kind of hopeful? Were they saying we're going to be able to cure this? What were they talking about? A treatment plan? Like, do you think that helped with that mentality? Because I think even though my doctors were saying to me positive stuff, my brain was going, you can't guarantee it. And, I was going to the worst case scenario.
They, I think the guy, my surgeon, he dealt with men before, and I think he knew the best tactic when it comes to men is give them a plan.
Yeah.
So he was like, right, we think it's cancer. Here's we've got a date booked in for surgery. This is what we're going to do. Here's your pre-op. Right, go away with your Macmillan nurse and arrange everything from that point of view. So he was very, very straight to the practicalities of what the surgery was going to be. Um, I don't know whether they fully explained, you know, we're going to take. I mean, obviously the Macmillan nurse went into the lymph node removal
Had
and
it
what they were
spread
going
to
to
your
do.
lymph nodes?
Well, so she explained that, but I don't think I truly understood that. Obviously, if it gets into the lymph nodes, you're going to need further treatment. Again, I think I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll just
Plodding
go along
along,
with,
like you were just riding the wave of what people
yeah,
were
but like,
saying. Yeah.
because all the info that they gave me, all the breast cancer now kind of leaflets and the brown kind of ring bound folder that they give you, I didn't even look at it. I didn't Google anything. I didn't do any research. I was just like, I think this is going to be okay, and I'll just do what the doctors and nurses tell me
Yeah.
what to do. So yeah, so in answer to your question, they it hadn't spread to the lymph nodes, but obviously I had to wait a further 2 weeks after surgery to find out whether it had or not. And I didn't overthink it. And even when they told me, which I should have been like, jumping for joy, that I was just like, right, okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's,
And
I
then,
think it's really, you might, with this kind of stuff, you might expect to behave a certain way, and it just doesn't happen, does it? You kind of get this life-changing news and you might go the complete opposite to how you feel you you would react if you'd been thinking about it before. It sounds like, yeah, you had
well,
that, and looking
I
back, you're
didn't,
just like, oh, that's how
I
I
was
was.
just
I
trying
was
to
just very
be,
matter of fact.
yeah, I mean, not that I was ungrateful for what they'd done, but I was just like, okay, let's, to be honest with you, it happened so quickly, everything, because I took action so quickly, the whole process. I tried to work it out the other day that from me finding the lump, obviously I had cancer in my body at that point, but finding the lump to having that removed was 6 weeks. So
Yes, it's fast.
there wasn't a lot of time. Obviously, I was processing it, but just very, very slowly. Um, but then I got kind of like the all clear, if you like. But obviously, I was put on to tamoxifen for 5 years. Um, I then had this like weird thing where I was like, I think I need to speak to someone now. I need to kind of like talk it through what happened, and but then there was a weird, because there's not a lot of there are men's groups, but there's a lot of men's groups which discuss treatment side effects, chemo and radiotherapy, which I didn't have. Obviously, I was having side effects from the tamoxifen
Mhm.
over time, so there was a bit of a weird thing where I kind of didn't really fit in to get support. So I ended up just kind of like dropping into my local Maggie's centre and just kind of like speaking to counsellors there, when I was just feeling like a little bit kind of like confused or at a
Yeah,
loss,
of
or
course.
and they were helpful, but they were like, oh yeah, no, the male group won't be suitable. And so I mean they even said, oh, we'll you might want to go to a skin cancer group because it's a very similar process of having a diagnosis and then very quickly having surgery and then right, carry on, which
How did
kind
that
of
make you feel, them saying that to you?
just felt like, well, hold on a minute, that's not, I definitely don't fit in. And then, of course,
That's really
I was
hard,
like,
yeah.
well, I mean, it was a thought. I didn't kind of like dwell on it too much. But then I was like, you know, there's a lot of female support groups. Well, of course, I'm not going through the exact same thing. I've been through very similar surgery,
So
but
you had a mastectomy, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
I had the left hand side mastectomy,
Yeah.
um, and but it's not. I mean, I'm quite a slender guy, so I didn't lose a lot of tissue. Obviously, they got the tumor out, and the scar is absolutely tiny. The guy's done an amazing job. But the weird thing is, I was in so much pain, like going into my armpit, where he'd fished around and took the
Yeah.
lymph nodes out, and yeah. So I was in pain for quite a long time. I would say up until the Christmas. So it was like, I want to say 3 months. It was painful for,
And every
but
woman who's had that surgery will know that pain, so would be able to validate and support you in that experience, because that is,
yeah. But I mean,
I know that pain you're talking about so well.
because apparently, obviously, it's all twisted and contorted now, kind of like through my armpit. However, and this is not to diminish my journey, but I do understand because I will go swimming and get my scar out, and I don't have any problems showing it. But for a woman, that's going to be a different experience, and I try whenever I interact with the community. I do try and be respectful of other people's journeys, and I know that the male and female journey is going to be it's similar, but it's going to be slightly different. However, everyone's everyone's journey is completely different.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I try. Don't want to compare directly a male and female kind of
But
amputation
well,
because it's not
that's
the same.
having you on here is so important because really it nothing about getting a breast cancer diagnosis would be the same coming from a male point of view or a female point of view, because you're being thrust into a world that still is very much pink. The ribbon is pink, Breast Cancer Awareness Month is a lot of lingerie campaigns. So you're you've found yourself in that world, and where is your voice? Where are the people that you feel So that's really important to me, is kind of where did you find that support? Were you able to connect with other men? Did you feel like you got the support when you met a lot of the female community, who I know we all have embraced you? And I know you obviously are a man, but I don't think of you in that way. I just think of you as Phil, who's part of the breast cancer community, right? In a good way, in a good way.
Um, yeah, but do you know what? I've just made so many amazing friends, and just got so much amazing encouragement to keep doing what I'm doing, and that that to me, I think it's very easy just kind of like jumping back pre-cancer diagnosis to just wonder, why are we on this planet? Why am I here? What is my purpose? And not to say that this is going to define me, but it took a few years. Now I was thinking, well, actually, I think I need to kind of like give back a little bit here. So I did a bit of fundraising, and then I thought, well, look, I'm just going to kind of go for it and just see what happens. So whenever there was an opportunity that someone said, oh, would you fancy doing a strictly dance event? I'd say yes. Do you fancy doing a modeling campaign? Yes. Do you fancy doing some fundraising? Do you want to start a book? Do you want to appear on a radio station? Do you want to? I was just like, yes, I'm
It
going to do
makes you
it.
say yes to life, right?
Yeah. And I, another message I should say, I keep saying the one message I want to get out is, don't wait for a cancer diagnosis to come and change your life. You can do it. You can make these changes without a cancer diagnosis. You can be inspired by seeing some of the amazing people in the community.
Yeah.
For me personally, after I kind of was like through like the surgery and the pain, I tried to go back to just working on websites, and it just didn't sit right with me. I was just like, this doesn't feel right. And I really, really struggled. Um, and I just thought, I'm just going to go for it. Why not? And, this was the excuse I was looking for to kind of do all the things I wanted to do. As regards the pink, I don't mind pink. The pink doesn't suit me, the color, but it's never going to change from pink, and I would never be on a mission to do that. Pink is breast cancer pink. It's not.
Pink is the ribbon. I just mean that you then are a man in what can sometimes feel like a very feminine. Well, it's majority women that are diagnosed, right? I don't know what the
Yeah.
percentages are exactly.
So it's it's 55,000 women a year compared to 480. So I think it's 1%
Yeah,
ish. It's like 1 in 1,000 men compared to 1 in 8 women. So it's never going to change from pink. It's let's not mess around. That's going to be a thing. However, those 500 men, especially if they're younger males, they want to see someone out there kind of like portraying a positive
yeah.
image of a male survivor just for
I
them.
can't.
And thankfully, I've had a few people reach out to me and actually say, well, there was one guy in London, and he said I was in my hospital bed recovering from surgery, and he goes, I just went on Instagram and did a search for male breast cancer, and I popped up, and he sent me a message.
That's honestly, I know from when I found out my diagnosis, all I wanted to see was another woman roughly my age, you know, through the other side, living a life. So I can't imagine how much comfort that would bring to a man, kind of getting a breast cancer diagnosis and seeing you. Yeah, I think
I think
it's
it's a
very
definite.
powerful.
I mean, so here obviously it's amazing that we've got this platform that we can see positive stories. I mean, I hate to say it, but obviously there was a horrible bit of news yesterday,
Yeah.
and it kind of like really affects the entire community. So when there's a nice bit of news, um, or a positive outcome, the weird thing is a lot of people are like, well, people don't want to hear that, but they might not consciously think I want to see a positive story, but I think it needs to be there just to remind people that you can survive, you know, after you can have a life afterwards, you can go and, you know, do all the cliches of like chasing your dream and
You know, it's so important because there will always be someone getting diagnosed who wants to see that, who needs to see that, in fact, you know?
yeah,
Even
and
now, if I share a post and I get comments from people who maybe I followed because of their small business that they own or something like that. And I didn't even know they don't share about their cancer. And they'll be like, I had breast cancer 15 years ago. It's so amazing to hear those comments or hear from those people. We all need it. We all need to hear those stories
yeah.
of survival, long-term
Plus,
survival.
plus you may find that person wants to keep that private.
Yeah,
However, they are able, because they can see you talking about it, they're able to communicate with you and just say, oh, thank you,
yeah.
or maybe ask you a question. And it's again, that's a thing that you will be going on and we don't know about necessarily if someone wants to keep it kind of personal to themselves, because not everyone wants to share their journey.
No, I mean, my
Um,
sister was diagnosed 5 months before me and absolutely didn't. Was so incredibly private about it. And it was only when I was diagnosed and I did start to share because I was already public, um, sharing about various things, sharing about my mum and that she said to me, if you want to talk about my diagnosis too, the fact that we both have the BRCA gene. So yes, she gave me permission, but I would never have mentioned it had she not, that's
yeah,
her story, her experience is her
yeah.
own. And I always say there's no right or wrong. It's an amazing platform to have. I know I got so much comfort from finding people that were sharing, and I also fully understand why you would not want to and why you would just want to focus, get through, and you know try and
I mean, like,
remove yourself from the
I
world of
mean,
cancer. It can be heavy in the community. There can be a lot of triggers. I don't know about you, but sometimes following so many people, I can go onto my Instagram and not feel ready to see things that I see, and it can completely, you know, it feels like a kind of I can't even think. What is it like? You just whacked in the face by something. It can really it confronts you a lot, and it can be really really hard.
Yeah. The yeah, I found. I mean, I think yesterday I found obviously the news of the founder of Copperfield
Chris, yeah.
passing away. Yeah. Um, I kind of sat with it a little bit, and I was thinking it actually kind of just brought up because coincidentally it was my dad's birthday,
Yeah.
who he died from skin cancer, and I think just the combination of that, I was like, obviously it's so nice. I mean, there's an amazing video of kind of her life, which is someone's put together, but just the kind of like the combination, I was just like, I need to probably just back off. So I made a post and then just kind of like came off Instagram yesterday because it just, not that it's a bad thing, but I was recognizing that, it
But
was,
this is such an important conversation to have. I was talking to a friend yesterday about it. I can't, I didn't know Chris really well, but I'd done a few Copperfield treks, but she had impacted on my life hugely because she's the reason I found my cancer. I knew that a swelling under my armpit, and I've always said, if not for Copperfield, like I would not have known that. I didn't have a lump I could feel by
yeah,
hand. So the impact she's had on me is huge. Um,
yeah,
and we can connect to people even if we've not met them through the power of Instagram, through sharing, through people, sharing their stories and resonating with that. And I think that came through yesterday with the community that we are part of, and it felt so. It was sad anyway. It is sad. It's sad,
yeah,
even though her words are, "This is not tragic." That she wrote some really beautiful, beautiful words. I think you try and hold close. But you could feel the collective grief, and so I too had to. It was bank holiday and with my kids. So sometimes it can be that tricky thing of not realizing that your day is just going to suddenly flip in that way. Life is
yeah,
unpredictable. I think we lose a lot of people because we um, are more connected with a lot of people, and
yeah. I mean,
it's a
the shocking thing is obviously the amount of kind of like
yeah,
younger people that will appear on Instagram and then disappear off Instagram, and it's something that, you know again I again after my initial why am I here, oh look, I can do something to raise awareness for breast cancer. I'm now in a place of, right, what can I do to like maybe help change that situation,
yeah.
um, and use my unique story. Because of course, some people will go, "Well, you're a bloke. Well, you're not allowed to comment on that." But I'm like, I raise awareness for men and women. Really,
It's
I
so
don't.
important. And also, I was thinking about the timing of talking to you today and how Chris and Copperfield's message is hugely inclusive of everyone. It is not check your boobs only. It is check your chest, check your pecs,
Yeah,
it is trying to reach everybody. And that is what you're doing. And I think that is what we can do to honor these incredible people that are not here.
yeah.
The
So,
whole point is early detection
oh
makes a big
God, yeah,
difference.
yeah. I mean, I'm proud of myself for acting so quickly, and I want other people to do the same without any
Yeah,
kind of worry that they'll be judged if it's not cancer, which is a horrendous thought. I mean, I think I even had some thoughts. I was like, what if I share? If I think it's cancer and it isn't, what happens if it isn't? But I'm like, that's a good thing.
it's a really
You
good
share
thing. Yeah.
that. But like, there's a lot of anxiety around what if it's not cancer, which is just crazy.
I
Think about
texted
it.
my sister before I went in for my ultrasound saying I feel like I'm wasting their time. Like that was one of the last messages
Yeah.
I sent before I went in the room, and things took a big change. And suddenly I was being like you, being biopsied, mammogrammed, and you go, oh, this doesn't feel like I'm wasting their time now, actually.
And
But we have that tendency, don't we, to kind of
yeah, and every professional that has dealt with you will have said, even if it was negative, they would have said, "You're not wasting our time," because
Oh,
they want to help
knowing
people
what
with not cancer.
knowing what it must be like for them, having been on the receiving end where they've had to tell me terrible, terrible news, you just think how amazing it must feel for them, the amount of terrible news they have to tell, to balance that out with being able to tell somebody, "No, it's a cyst,"
Yeah,
or "No, it's,"
yeah,
it's a, I don't know, but it's just, you do think that, and that's not wasting time. That's being
yeah,
advocating for your health, noticing a change, getting it checked. And it's important to say, because I think people are so scared to check in case they find something and it's cancer. Most of the time it isn't, but
yeah,
still get it checked. Nobody would ever
mhm,
be annoyed with you, right? Like they want
yeah.
to make sure it's not cancer and then it doesn't advance.
And then, of course, on the flip side, if you get told by a GP it's nothing and you still feel you're not happy, then obviously to
Yeah.
chase that up, that's a big message as well. I know it almost like sounds like a contradiction, but that has saved some people's lives when they've
No, that's
gone back.
huge. It's huge,
But
and is part of, again, bringing it back to Chris, who's obviously at the forefront of our thoughts today. She was sent. That's part of her Copperfield mission, because she was sent away, I think, for like a year, going back
yeah,
and forwards, because she was only 23. So this is, honestly, this is such an important chat, Phil. I think
yeah.
you've said some amazing things that people need to hear. But that's a
Well,
really important one.
coincidentally, and I've not. Again, the timing is quite poignant, but I've been made. Well, actually, I think, did I tell you the other day? I've Copperfield have now emailed me and said they want to have a chat about my story, and hopefully I'll be able to do something for
Great.
Copperfield. Yeah, so I mean the timing seems
Yeah.
quite nice. But again, I never met Chris. It's but yeah, she's doing. I mean, she did an amazing thing, and if I can contribute to that in any way, it'd be an absolutely amazing
No,
thing to
your voice
do.
is so needed and so important. And I think, yeah, I wondered, have you met a lot of men who are sharing their their breast cancer experiences, or not too many?
I've met a few. They tend to be the ones that I've met have tended to be a lot older than me. I spoke to a guy right after my diagnosis, or actually, I think I was waiting for my results, and I rang the Someone Like Me helpline on from Breast
Breast cancer
Cancer
now. I
Now.
was going to say, if you'd used that actually.
Yeah, and so they matched me with a guy who was like, I think he was like nearly 70, and I
It's
was
not really
44.
someone like you then, is it, in a way?
That was the
When you're
closest.
in your 40s. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was a helpful thing. So I had a few calls with him, but he'd been a long time
Yeah.
volunteer for for them. so so now I volunteer. So if any men ring up Breast Cancer Now and say,
You're
"Is
the
there someone
someone.
like me?" they'll get matched to me. However, I've not been matched to anyone in over 2 years, which is a good thing,
That is a good
or is
thing.
it? Or is it a good thing? Because no one's rung up. It's a funny old thing. I don't think men go looking for support. If they don't find it, they accept that they're on their own,
Mhm.
which can be a little bit sad. I mean, see again. I mean, another what the thing I've just been sent. I'm a media volunteer for the Samaritans because it was one of the things the night before I got my results. I rang the Samaritans, and so I'm in their spring newsletter about.
It's
Well, actually, I
incredible.
think. Yeah, I think that newsletter gets sent to the volunteers to say, "Oh, look, these are the people you're actually helping. This is the end result of you being a volunteer for the Samaritans helpline." And again, if any men are watching this and they don't want to speak to their friends and family, the Samaritans are always there. That's a good service, and they'll
They're
hopefully
incredible.
signpost.
They're incredible. And you speaking up about the fact that you called them when you needed that support yeah, is so, that is just so powerful, because
Well, there's a
more
lot. I mean, there's a lot of
people
stigma
need,
attached
well, people
to
need
him.
permission, I think, to say that they're struggling. Sometimes I think too many people
Yeah.
like
Well, I
to,
mean, the stigma needs to be removed from a lot of things, and one of them is just like men kind of maybe needing a bit of extra support. That needs the stigma around that needs to go.
yeah,
If there's any stigma around a man having breast cancer, that shouldn't really exist because I've never had anything um, linked to my gender and breast cancer negatively said about me. It's always been supportive.
it's really
Um,
good. Have
and to
you?
be honest with you, the potentially, because obviously I was just thinking, I had a lot of time to think, and I thought, there could be stigma from a female point of view. This could be one of the reasons why women not want to share their diagnosis, because they may feel, their femininity is kind of affected.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on when you get a cancer diagnosis on top of the actual diagnosis, I think. So
Talking about the Samaritans, kind of after your diagnosis and treatment finished, you said I think you went into your local Maggie's and kind of sought some support. Did you have any therapy?
oh, like counselling kind of
Yeah,
things. Yeah. I mean, it was just casual, so I would just drop in, and when I was just feeling a little bit emotional, I'd just drop in and kind of have a bit of a. They'd make me a cup of tea, give me a piece of cake, and I'd have a
yeah,
bit of a cry, and um, yeah, it was just very casual. Um, I mean, it worked for me. I
yeah,
mean, there
that's
was other
good.
stresses going on at the same time, and I think that again is one of the things that you know we keep saying, the cancer diagnosis, but you got to remember, like, this is on top of everyday life
Going
stuff
on.
that is going on.
Yeah,
And so if you're struggling, if you've got a job you hate and then a cancer diagnosis, or you're struggling with your relationship and then a cancer
mhm.
diagnosis, that's a big thing to then deal with by
Yeah. Life,
yourself.
life
So
doesn't stop for the cancer
no,
diagnosis. I know that's true, and I am a really big advocate for therapy. I've had a lot of therapy, but the therapy I had during my breast cancer treatment was really important and definitely was very needed, especially that's why I asked, just because that I found that phase after kind of surgery and every it felt like such a whirlwind of life. I almost just didn't know how to ground back and embrace who I was now. Like you said, when you were at your desk kind of doing your work, you're like, this doesn't, like, you're changed, and
yeah.
it's really hard to know who you are, how that fits with your old life, like where your place is. It becomes difficult.
The funny thing is, I was kind of, although it felt a bit weird, and I was like, I don't know about this. Then everyone I spoke to kept saying, changed your life. Changed your life, hasn't it? Has that changed your life? And I was like doing my old job, and I was like, it's not changed. Everything's exactly the same. And I was thinking, I think if you want to change, you've got to take some different action. So that's why I was like, right, I'm just going to do things I've never done before. That way,
And
it's definitely going to be different. Not for everybody. it's a,
so,
it's,
before we wrap up our chat, one of the things you did, which I think has provided such invaluable support to the community. Drum roll. Have you got one there? Is your book?
I haven't got a drum, but yeah.
I'll do it.
Well, again, this kind of happened by accident. So I did a post.
You just wrote a book by accident.
Well, I mean, I wrote about 5 pages of it, but the
Yeah,
community wrote the book.
it's
Um,
incredible.
the no, I did a post on the Brené Brown quote where she says, "One day, sharing your story will be someone else's survival guide." And everyone kept. See, I was actually talking about the "Someone Like Me" helpline when I posted that, and everyone was like, "How can I get involved in this project?" And I was like, "What are they talking about?" So my next post, and still online now, is I'm gonna put everyone's story together into a book. So, and I didn't know whether anyone would actually send me the details. So mid October till it was actually finished on New Year's Eve. I was collating, I think there's 72 survivor stories in there. I mean,
Wow.
it was a big task, believe
Yeah.
it or not. It's not, I mean, you can finish it in an afternoon. It's, if you're feeling fragile, maybe hold off reading it because there's some quite emotional stories in there, and especially if you've had a cancer diagnosis, there's a lot of things that will resonate.
Yeah, there's some really
Um,
raw, real stories shared.
yeah,
That is the power. That's power of community. That is, it's a special book. It really is. And I
and
think
then yeah,
you're
I mean,
raising
and
you're
again, the
raising money
community.
for Future Dreams as well, which is a charity that offers so much support to all of us and brings us together. And yeah, does
It was
wonderful things.
a good thing that kind of just the universe took over and made it kind of work. So yeah, I was very pleased to be kind of organizing that, and had the pleasure of
It's
handing over
Yeah, it's a great book, and it's
the
a great book to, I would say, as you say, gift to somebody when they're in maybe a better headspace, or not better headspace, but like you say, that it is quite a vulnerable. There are some really vulnerable shares. However, I think it can really remind you that you're not alone, and that is
yeah.
just such an important thing when you can feel like you're drifting a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
After
totally grateful for all the people that kind of contributed. It is a cool book. It's a powerful book. Um and yeah, again, we did you were busy that day, weren't you, with the BRCA Westminster thing, but
Oh yeah,
we did a
I
bit of a
was at the
book
House of
launch.
Lords. I couldn't
Oh,
come.
Lord. But no, do you know what? But that day, I mean, the amount of people that turned up to support it was just mind blowing.
I saw it.
And
It looked amazing. It looked amazing. But that's what you did. You brought so many people together so that they could feel, yeah,
yeah,
supported and not
well,
alone. And that survival guide and everyone sharing their stories, which is such a powerful thing to do, helps. It helps another. It really
yeah, well,
does.
do you know what? One of the things which I didn't expect was the amount of people that had said, um, "Wow, I'm in a book. Like I've been put, I'm a published author now," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't even really think about that." And there's a lot of people who are like, "That's one off my bucket list. I wanted to be in a book."
Yeah.
Now they're like totally proud to kind of like share, you know, the link. So obviously we can raise more money, and then they can go,
Yeah.
"Well, I'm in there." Like
Yeah.
it's a
Amazing.
good it's a good thing. So yeah, until version 2 comes out, that'll be selling. Maybe do
Are
another
you
one.
working on version 2?
I didn't know whether
Is
to
it
do.
is this a what do they call
Well,
it? Have
okay,
you
so my
just done a
next
big reveal?
no,
Spoiler alert.
no, the next thing which I did mention at the book launch was I want to do a northern. I mean, it's London is an amazing hub of support and events, and which is it makes sense because the amount of the density of the population in London, a lot's going to be going on there. But there's a lot of people like kind of in the borders in Scotland or Northern England just don't have the time to make it down to an event. So the next thing I'm working on is a Northern England event, which I'm
Fantastic.
hoping
I'm a trustee of a charity, Cancer in Common, and we have different people now hosting
you
their own
do.
events up and down the country.
You do.
We could
You do.
have
I can't.
Phil host an
At the
event.
moment, at the moment, I can't make the one. There's one in Leeds, which because my daughter, I don't think I'm going to be able to make that one. But
We also
yeah, I mean,
really talking to you is important to say that is forever. That is not a breast cancer only meetup. It's for
yeah,
anyone that's had cancer. However, lots of women are going to be, they're amazing. They are the most amazing, incredible events, and the atmosphere and the support and the love in the room is so incredible. But we do want more men coming. They are open to
Yeah.
everyone.
Right.
So we
Well, I
need
went to
you.
my
Yes, I
first
remember.
counselling common on in last October, and yeah, it's a special thing. I mean, to be honest with you, the bigger events, I mean, Future Dreams events, stuff like that, like they're just then you for the next couple of days after your event, you're like, oh my God, there was just like so much was kind of going on
Mm.
and happening, and how positive an impact it can have on someone. And like you say, I met skin cancer survivors and bowel cancer survivors at the event in London. And yeah, I just feel that, more events has got to be a good thing. It's just that it's
There
just a
can
little
never
bit
be enough,
incidental.
because people, I think,
Yeah,
really, really crave that connection with someone else that gets them. That's been through
yeah,
something similar. That's experienced cancer. Um, and there is something very special when we do come together in a space, because there's just that level of support that I think is so,
yeah.
oh, it kind of blows you away. Yeah.
I think any space where you can meet, you know, you can actually meet the people you've virtually met online
Yeah.
is a good thing. So yeah, I'm all for that. But yeah, the book was a nice little thing. And obviously, when I met you the other day, I'd handed over the first
Yeah.
check, which was a nice thing. So, however, please gift away. We want to raise even more. It's not a one trick pony. We want it to be a kind of like a long
Absolutely.
standing way of giving back to the community, essentially.
And it will be, as we were saying before, it will just keep, it's one of those books that it will always be bought for someone, gifted to someone.
Yeah, I'm really
It's
looking
just that,
for
it's very special.
American. I'm really looking for like American influencers to go, people, you need to buy this book and get some more sales in America, because
Okay, so
America is
if
just like
anyone
so
is
big.
watching from America,
Yeah,
you got the
get in
memo
there.
from Phil.
I'll send you a copy, or you can buy a copy and see what you think.
Oh. Well, thank you so much, Phil, for chatting to me today. It's obviously, we have a friendship, but it's been great chatting to you and hearing in more detail about the things that kind of we've spoken about. And yeah, just like I said, hearing you speak so passionately about raising awareness and supporting others, I know that you truly kind of, yeah, you authentically live and breathe this, and I've felt your support. So I just want to say thank you, and
Oh,
thank you
bless you.
for speaking to me today. I know it will
Yeah, no,
help
thanks for
others.
asking me.
Oh,
I appreciate that. Thanks.
thank you. I'll see you soon.